Hello, my name is Shep Brennan, and I'm a counselor here at Midland College. And I want to thank you for viewing this presentation today. It's on test anxiety and how to handle it. I did provide some slides, which I'm going to show you now. So let me start out by providing some slides here. This test, again, is how to handle test anxiety. And I'm a counselor at Midland College. And most people in their lives have test anxiety at one time in their life. I've had test anxiety before, and I was in graduate school and I was taking comprehensive exams for my final to get my degree. And I was very nervous, and I did use some techniques to reduce test anxiety that helped me. Like I studied ahead of time, I tried to get good sleep, I deep breathe. I did some relaxation exercises, and that did help me. So these things do, happen to people, and it's very common, especially if it's an important exam. So let me go back here to the handout. Test anxiety is when you feel stress or anxiety before or during a test. A little bit is normal. It's sort of like motivation. You want to have some motivation or some test anxiety, or you wouldn't even want to get out of bed. So you want to have a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of anxiety, so you'll study, but you don't want too much anxiety. It'll make it difficult for you to concentrate. So you want to have just a little bit of anxiety, maybe a medium amount of anxiety, so you'll prepare. So let me give you some ideas on what you can do before the test, because the key is preparing for tests. So the first thing is, and this is to reduce anxiety for classes and tests in general, go to class every day. Try to be at class every day on time. Uh, Study your courses ahead of time can reduce your test anxiety. And so you want to pick a place where you can study, like a place in the library that's quiet, a place at home, maybe the kitchen. You want a comfortable temperature for you. So the first thing is to pick a place to study where you're comfortable. You also want to plan your semester ahead. And again, planning ahead before the test can help. So plan your semester based on the syllabus. You should have the syllabus for your classes now. It'll have when tests are due, when papers are due, when assignments are due. So plan your semester now, and that can help reduce anxiety. And this is a study plan that can help for the whole semester. So if you have this plan, and have a study plan, it can help. So you want to treat studying like a job. You want to go in every day and like you would a job, and you want to, like for a job, you would go in at 8 o'clock in the morning, say, and work till 5, and you do that, say, 5 days a week. For studying, you want to set a time to study 2 to 3 times, maybe 5 times a week, depending on the class, and treat it like a job. And you go in every day. So you want to do this. The general rule of thumb is that you should study 2 to 3 hours for every hour in class. So that sounds like a lot of hours, but maybe for certain classes you want to study that amount or more, like for math, health science, and science classes. These are very detailed, a lot of memorization. Anyway, in college, you're going to have a lot of detailed courses, but maybe the math, science, health science, you might be studying more than that, those hours. And this makes sense. The higher you want your grade to be, the more you should study. So this preparation, as I said before, should help lower your test anxiety because you're doing this every day or 5 days a week, and this will help reduce your test anxiety. And when you study, the advantage of being in a quiet place is that you want to reduce distractions. And the fewer distractions you have, the more you can focus on studying. Everybody has a smartphone, or a lot of people have smartphones now. Use it to set times to study, like we were talking about, you go to work at set times. So use your smartphone calendar to set times to study and try to stick to that. Set it on your calendar. If there are conflicts with other things, also use your smartphone calendar to reschedule things so you can fit things in that you want to do and need to do, like study, be with your friends, relax, go to your job, things like that. So use your smartphone calendar for time management purposes to manage your time and do what you want to do at the time you want to do it. This can reduce test anxiety and anxiety in general. So you hear a lot about studying for the exam. It's good to study the night of the exam, but really you want to spread your study up throughout the semester. We study obviously with our brain, and our brain gets tired after a while. I can only do something really concentrated, detail oriented about 2 hours at a time, and I have to take a break. And so if you try to cram maybe from midterms and final, your brain can't handle it. It just gets tired. So you want to give your brain a break and break it out the whole semester, break up the study the whole semester. And you might want to prepare ahead of the test. A lot of times your instructor will have a little review session before the test and give you some ideas of what will be on the test. So definitely go to class and attend those sessions. Sleep is very important. Uh, a lot of people have shown that, in fact, studies have shown that getting a good, consistent amount of sleep really helps us learn better. In fact, sleep seems to serve as a means for us to put together memories of things we've done in the daytime and things we studied in the daytime. Sleep seems to put that together, so we learn better if we sleep consistently. Like going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning. I know it's hard to do that working and have a family and everything, but try to keep to that as much as possible, because sleep really helps us learn better. And again, spreading the learning throughout the semester helps our brain handle it on a more even basis, and the sleep every night helps us learn more on a more even basis. So that's very important. Um, Let me go on to the next slide here. You might want to talk about the exam and get some ideas how other people handle the exams, maybe with family or friends. Joining a study group can help. I know a lot of the health sciences, they get study groups together, or maybe some of the sciences, they get study groups together, and that helps relieve anxiety about the exam, or at least you talk about it and talk about possible questions, and you also may learn in a study group also. So that's another benefit of being in a study group. And it may not be possible to be in a study group, but maybe you have a couple people you might call and ask about questions, or maybe on certain parts of a test or a course you have one person you study with. That can help too, because you help each other out. Eating well helps. We talked about our brain. Well, sleeping helps our brain. Eating well, exercise helps our brain. Exams are physical exercises in a way, and we get tired. So exercise helps gives us stamina to get through the exam. So that helps. So you've done all these preparations. The day of the exam has come. So what should you do the day of the exam? Well, have a healthy breakfast. You don't want to have too much caffeine and too much sugar. I have a cup of coffee in the morning, or really 2 cups of coffee. And if I have more than that, I get sort of jittery and I'm not as productive as I could be. So it's okay to have a little tea, a little coffee, a little maybe Coca-Cola in the morning or iced tea, but don't have too much because you don't want to get jittery. That'll increase your anxiety. Sugar sort of has the same effect. It'll give you a little short burst of energy, but then you crash and you have less energy. You also want to burn up some energy in other ways too. So in other productive ways. So you might want to walk or do a little light exercise to burn off some of that nervousness. That can help the day before the day of the exam. So you've gone into the classroom. You want to get there a little bit early, but not too early, but a little bit early so you're not rushed. So right before the test, you might want to take a couple of deep breaths. Just breathe in and breathe out, and just releasing that deep breath that you breathe. You can almost feel the anxiety leave you. So take a deep breath, hold it a couple seconds, take a deep exhalation, a couple seconds. Um, so we talk about deep breaths. You also might want to read a magazine article. You might want to think about a vacation you enjoyed. They call this visualization. I like to imagine being on a lake. I like to go to the lake. Sometimes I fish. Sometimes I'll get in a canoe or something and then paddle around. Or some friends of mine ski. I have a picture of a lake scene I like. Thinking about something, a vacation you like, can help relax you. So they give you have the test in front of you. It's the day of the test. You want to read the test carefully, focus on each question, and the goal is to do the best you can. So really, up to this point, you've used the syllabus to plan your semester. You use your smartphone calendar to schedule times to study. You've studied throughout the semester. You're getting good sleep. You're getting a little bit of exercise. A lot of these things will help you. You want to do the best you can, but you don't have to be perfect. So just sort of keep in mind, do the best you can. You do not have to be perfect. So let me give you some pointers on taking exams. Um, for multiple choice questions, there'll be 3 or 4 choices. So eliminate the choices you know are not correct, and that'll give you fewer choices to pick from of the correct ones. So it'll help you get easier answers if you reduce the incorrect answers on the multiple choice. On essays, you want to do a short essay questions on the exam. You want to do a short outline of the essay. So you might have just a general statement about how you're going to answer the question, and then have 4 or 5 points supporting your statement, and then have a conclusion. So do a short little outline, for essay questions. Let me go over here. And so what happens if your mind goes blank on a question? Well, that's happened to me before. I'll be taking an exam, I'm a little bit nervous. I see something, I go blank. I think, gosh, I remember that, but I'm blank on it now. Well, just keep going to the next question and go a couple questions if the test will let you do that, and come back to it later. And sometimes the other questions will trigger your memory on the other questions. Also, if you have a piece of scratch paper, you can make some short little notes and just start writing. And sometimes that triggers your memory for the questions you can't remember. And then related to this, you want to pace yourself so you finish the exam on time. So you want to work hopefully at a steady pace so you can finish the exam on time. So again, it's normal to feel nervous when you take a test. One way to handle this nervousness is to imagine that you're standing by a river and leaves are floating down the river. And you're thinking to yourself, I feel nervous about this question. I feel nervous about this test. So just think, okay, that nervousness that I have, I'm going to say this leaf floating down the river is my nervousness. And I'm going to watch it float down the river. And I'm going to say, okay, there's my nervousness. It's floating down the river. That's okay. But I'm going to bring my thoughts back to the question or back to the test. So you work some more, but then that nervousness might come back. And so you just say to yourself, that nervousness is like a leaf in the river, and there's that leaf, and it's floating down the river. That's my nervousness. That's okay. That's interesting, even. But I'm going to let that float down the river, and I'm going to put my thoughts back on the test or on the question. So you can do that as many times as you want, and that seems to help people with nervousness. All right, so that's one technique you can use. Also, if you get nervous, you can take deep breaths, and we talked about this a few minutes ago. You take a deep breath through your nose, hold it for 5 or 10 seconds, and let the breath out, and do that 3 or 4 times. But breathe in deeply, a big deep breath, hold it 5 to 10 seconds, and do it 3 or 4 times, and that'll help. Stretching sometimes helps. Sometimes I'm a little tense, and I'll stretch, and that helps. Tensing and relaxing muscles helps. So let me give you an example of that. A lot of times we hold tension in our shoulders and neck. So you might want to do this before the test, maybe practice it 2 or 3 weeks before the test. So you just imagine you tense your shoulders muscles hard and hold them like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. And so you do that a few times, tense and hold it like 5 seconds and relax. Tense and hold it 5 seconds and relax. And do that for a while. Practice that ahead of time because we hold our tension in our muscle. So that can help you. That's another technique to help you handle some stress. So try not to get distracted. If you get distracted, you can use the leaf analogy we were talking about a minute ago, or just try to bring your thoughts, just say, okay, I'm distracted, but I'm going to bring my thoughts back to the test, back to the question. Use humor. That helps me a lot of times relieve some stress. Think of something funny on Netflix or on Disney Plus or Hulu or something, or some fun things you did with your friends that were funny. Humor seems to help reduce some stress. So you've done the test, it's all over, you're relieved. So what are some things you can do after the test? Well, do something fun and healthy. You probably socialize with friends or family on Zoom or by phone or Instagram or something, socialize with your friends, that makes you feel good. Look at a Netflix movie, that'll help you feel good. A video game, a lot of people like video games. Some people like to cook, have a nice meal. A lot of people like to be physically active in their garden and just work on their plants or do a little work in the garage, work in their car, watch some sports. These can all help you relax. Just relax after the test, and they're pleasurable. So remember, it's normal to be nervous sometimes when taking a test, but you have to have some test, some stress, some motivation, or you won't do well study and get a good job and career. So that's sort of like motivation. You want to have a little bit. A little too much can be too much. So you want to have a little bit of test anxiety, a little bit of motivation, but maybe not too much. So I want to thank you for looking at this presentation. Here's my contact information. Counseling is free to enroll Midland College students. I want to thank you. Leave you today with this picture of the lake that I've been to. And thank you so much. Feel free to contact me if you have questions.